to Season 1 of the web review series The More The Gorier, presented by Mr. Mayhem Movies. I'm Sean Scott with Keith Hansz and Shane Scott, and this episode will focus on the Sleepaway Camp franchise, which is definitely one of the lesser-known ones than the other ones that we're doing with this season. There are a total of 5 films, technically, but only like 4, like... How would you describe it?
I would describe it as there's 4 movies.
4.5.
Okay, I'm going to say that there's 6 movies, 4 of which are real movies, 1 of which just kind of used a name, which we will get to later. And then there's another one that got filmed and was just kind of forgotten about, and then someone came back and completed it. We'll talk about that one too, but honestly speaking, there's only like 4 movies in the franchise. The only 4 that matter. So, and there's also been talks of a bunch of different sequels throughout, like, kind of recently, but those got abandoned, and then now I think they're back on, like, the reboot, remake train, but nothing's happening there, and I don't see that ever going anywhere. So we'll just focus on the ones that have been made. So, personally, I became a Sleepaway Camp fan, like, much after I got into slasher movies. It was kind of like, I've already seen the big ones, and I got to start picking and choosing what are some of the other, like, franchises out there that I can get into. And I don't know how I stumbled across Sleepaway Camp. I think I actually, like, saw the box set on eBay.
I actually don't think that's how we got to it. I think it involved, we were watching a documentary. And, like, we got one of those, like, we have quite a few, but it was one of those documentaries that was, like, it was a really quick one. It just had, like, a few, like, a kill from each of the movies. And I'm pretty sure that's how we got most of, like,
the Boogeyman the Killer compilation, I think, is what you're talking about. I want to say Sleepaway Camp is not on that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we saw one on documentary, at least.
Okay, I'll check that out later, but I don't think it was on that. Now, the Going to Pieces, The Rise and Fall of the Slasher film, that one had a little part in it, but I'm pretty sure we had already seen Sleepaway Camp at that point in time.
I know how I got into it. You guys showed me the first one because it had a weird kill at the end, and then we just kept watching them.
Yes. And the sequels are definitely worth it. But yeah, I think I just found the box set for cheap, and I thought it was enjoyable. Like, it sounded good when I looked into it. And I knew nothing about the sequels. There's really just the first film, and that's really the only one most people know. But the sequels are definitely worth it. So you came from, like, I think we watched it at the campsite.
Yeah, like,
and then
early high school.
Yeah, and it was it definitely different. I can't say, like, I was in love with the franchise when I saw it the first time, but I've definitely, like, grown into it. Some, like, not, like, one of the sequels I'm not a huge fan of anymore, but overall I thought it was actually a fun franchise. It's different than most of the other ones that you'd be used to in slasher.
The first time you watch it, it's just kind of like a surface level slasher, but for some reason if you watch the sequels or you keep watching it a couple times, it starts to grow on you. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't really do anything that special, but I like the way it does it.
It's definitely fun what they do. So first up was the original one that came out in 1983 with what's called Sleepaway Camp. It was made, like, right in the middle of, like, the big slasher boom of the early mid 80s, and if you look at it, it really does seem like just another one of those stereotypical 80s slasher movies.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, on the surface level, the thing that sets it apart from everything else is the ending, which we'll talk about last because it is the biggest spoiler. So if there is the best redeeming factor of the movie is the twist ending. So
I don't think I'd call it a redeeming factor because the whole thing's it's pretty good. That's just, like, the best part.
But the reason that, like,
it got
know
big
about it nowadays is because of this ending.
It's the only reason it got big.
So the reason the series is still alive was because of that ending. So basic rundown of the plot. It was it opens with, like, a boy and a girl and their dad, like, on just like motorboating. Well, there's the motorboat going by while they're, like, on
I think
a
they're
raft.
sailing.
Yeah, and then basically the motorboat crashes, kills one of the kids, and it kills the dad. So the girl has to get raped with her aunt and then her cousin Ricky as well. And basically the whole movie is about them, Angela, who is the girl that survived, and the cousin Ricky go into a camp called Camp Arawak. Now, when they're at this camp, basically people are just always mean to Angela and pick on her because she's, like, really quiet and shy.
Because, you know, that's always what happens.
It's your stereotypical quiet girl, so let's beat the crap out of her for no apparent reason.
Yes, and you definitely see that again in this franchise. And then from there, people start dying. Actually, some of the kills are actually
Very
very unique. Like most movies wouldn't have thought of something like that.
Or didn't want to do something like that.
Yeah.
There's a few of them.
Now, this not like the formula that's followed in like the next sequels, but it's a whodunit kind of thing. So you don't know who the killer is, and they definitely like put it in like complete mystery until the twist ending.
Okay.
So what do you guys have to say about this?
Well, for the kills themselves, I liked how there were a couple where they show the killer's point of view almost. They do like a kill cam, but you still don't know who it is. So they, like the first kill, you don't actually ever find out if they die. Is there's a cook who's kind of, because it's the 80s, he's like giving off a rapey vibe, and he's got the main girl in the cupboard for I don't know why.
Taking his pants off.
Taking his pants off. It's creepy, and then he gets caught, so he goes back to his work because rape. It's fine. It's the 80s. He doesn't actually rape her, so it's a little better. And he's like over a boiling pot of water, and he gets pushed off his like stool, and the boiling water like falls on him, and he like gets taken to the hospital. You never actually know if he dies, but like it kind of sets up that maybe the killer is trying to get revenge for the girl, or because like why else would the killer be in the kitchen? Because there's no weapons. So it's kind of like starts the whodunit.
Yeah, but it's also like really good effects, I would say, because like the burn marks they do on it. And I know when the cook's getting pushed, the cook sees who it is, but the cook never says it, which is what a lot of like whodunits do, because when the killer does not have a mask, which is kind of like the two types of slasher movies: the killer where you see him all the time with a mask going around killing people. Then there's the one where you just don't know who the killer is. And then there's also a combination.
I mean, it's very derivative of Psycho.
But it's important to note that the chef does recognize the person, so like immediately sets it up as someone in the movie and not like an outside person.
And basically from there, what would you guys say your favorite kill from the movie would be?
Mine would be, it might be the same as Shane's, there's a person in the toilet stall with the pants down, and then the killer just takes a branch with a big old beehive and he just puts it in there. And I think the bees kill him, don't they?
I think so.
He dies from all the bee stings.
That was a good one.
It's very creative.
Well, it involves like was it a straightener or was it a
Oh,
curler? I think it was a
curler.
And it gets shoved like somewhere up. I don't know which.
An orifice.
An orifice.
I like to think it was a vagina.
I think it was.
Just because.
But this girl kind of had it coming. She was like the main villain. Well, not the killer, but she was the main like annoying bully.
Yes. I want to say that was probably my favorite kill.
Because it was just so out there.
Yeah, like
why would you even think about doing that? And it was like, and these aren't like supposed to be adult. I mean, the actress was probably like 20s, but like
they're all supposed to be like 10 to 15.
This was like a 15-year-old middle teenage girl that got something really hot shoved up her vagina, which was funny. I had fun.
And basically, it's a movie that it takes itself seriously. Like, it's not trying to be a horror comedy, but just the kills are so over the top that it just comes off as funny, which it's kind of like the way I like the horror comedies, where it's not like trying to be like outright slapstick, but it's still like really funny.
I remember the one kill, they're in the shower and they just start stabbing her through the curtain, and it's supposed to be super serious, but the way the girl is like flailing on the ground with a knife, it just kind of comes off funny.
It's definitely a fun movie. So I guess we'll talk about like the ending now. Anybody wanted to say that?
I would like to give a shout out to how they kill the camp head. I guess he's the owner. He gets just shot with a crossbow. Like, it's not even like a horror movie kill. He just gets straight up murdered by a crossbow, which was kind of a nice quick way to do that.
It was. So I guess I'll talk about the ending. It basically shows everyone's dying around Angela. So if you pick on Angela, you normally die. And most people think it might be.
It makes it really seem like it's her cousin.
They set up that he's super protective the whole movie, so you're starting to think it's him.
Which is actually weird because like they used him as a stand-in for when the actual killer was supposed to pop up. There's a few times that it was actually him standing in for her. Well,
yeah, well, they were both also very
They were little kids.
They actually were little kids, which makes this ending a little more creepy, because you find out at the end that not only is the killer Angela, but that apparently Angela is a dude.
But the way you find it out is they cut to her, it, standing on the beach, holding the severed head of a victim, knife in one
With
hand,
the funniest expression on her
completely naked, like just full frontal nudity,
Like dry heaving.
holding weapon and head in both hands, staring at the
I
camera.
like how they did it, 'cause they just put a fake like top on this like really petite adult guy, and just got him drunk. And
Yeah.
that's how they did it.
So the expression comes off even creepier because it's not even like a real face.
Yeah. So it's just like his face is like permanently like, and so basically what it then shows you is that in like the opening like motorboating accident is that the girl died and then the little boy lived, but the aunt, who's just crazy, a really weird character, really wanted a girl, so she raised the boy as a girl.
Moral of the story: do not raise kids as transgender. This will happen.
And I just think that's exactly what they were going
Yeah,
for back in
transgender
1980.
I don't think it
people-
would. I don't think it would go so well nowadays.
Yeah, this movie wouldn't go
People
well.
would get really butthurt and probably like, in like solidarity with transgender, like shove like hot rollers up their vaginas. I don't know.
You never know.
That's a thing probably.
But we'll talk more about like if this movie was remade later, like
Mhm.
what kind of repercussions it would have, or if it would be any good.
Well, honestly, I doubt most of those people will be watching this movie.
I can
anyway.
honestly,
Probably not.
I agree with what you said before. I don't think it'll get a anytime soon, and it's not even because like political ramifications. It's just remakes aren't doing great right now.
No, and it's just. But we'll talk about that later. Overall, I would say Sleepaway Camp is a really good movie. It's definitely like one of my favorite like camp slasher movies
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
one of the better.
Sleepaway Camp's my favorite horror series of all time, which
Mm.
is probably a rare opinion, but I really like it.
They are like they're fun movies, which is pretty much like that's what slasher movies need to be. They need to be fun.
And they focus on the kills, and they don't worry too much about the plot because they know that their plot's not very good.
And we definitely see much more of that in the sequels.
Yeah.
So next up, we have Sleepaway Camp 2: Unhappy Campers, which was released in 1988. This one is going to become straight up a horror comedy, and definitely leaning into the comedy.
Very hard on the comedy.
Yeah,
So-
it's not scary.
Within like the first, I don't know, within the opening, it pretty much says this is Angela, she's the killer. It's not a whodunit anymore, and it just goes from there.
Very different from like a Jason Voorhees or a Freddy Krueger, in that like, even though you probably terrible people and want them to kill people, you're not really you usually root for like a survivor girl. This one, you kind of root for her.
Yeah, like,
she
she is the main character. You follow her. You don't follow someone who finds or kills. You follow her. She goes around killing people.
Mm-hmm. So in this one, Angela is now working under a different name, Angela Johnson, I think.
Very clever.
She's got like surgery, so she's like not a guy anymore.
Well, they never explicitly say. There was like a rumor.
It was a rumor, but I think it's implied that that's what happened.
Yeah,
like actually
She
happened.
does wear a bra, which like is a point in the movie because 80s.
80s.
So I think she did.
So whatever it is, they play it off like she's like a girl now, and
It's
they
also
give the guy.
Fun fact: she's played by Pamela Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen's little sister. There's like a really weird connection.
It is weird, but I would say she's a really good Angela. Like she's a lot of fun to watch.
She's my favorite
Especially
actress for
with the
Angela.
gender part. It was like a throwaway dialogue a kid says, and then they just ignore it for the rest of the movie.
It's just her being a guy before was completely.
Yeah, it was almost like they just wanted to
sequels.
it's almost like they wanted to get away from that.
Yeah,
and-
they wanted a girl.
Which I don't. I think they should have played off it. It gave it a unique vibe in the first one, so that's one thing I wish they kind of played up more. And
Yeah, that would have been nice.
this and the following ones. But
So plot-wise, Angela's working under this new name at a camp called Camp Rolling Hills, and she's just a counselor there. But every time someone does something like bad or
Bad
she
is a
thinks
relative
good,
term.
yeah, in her mind, this is what it would be bad.
Like the opening kill is a girl's talking to some boys around the campfire when she's not supposed to be there. So she kicks them out of camp by like taking them somewhere and brutally murdering them.
this is one of those few movies that actually has kids at a camp when people are getting killed.
So did like the first.
Yeah,
it's
the
actually
first-
really weird.
It's weird because most, like, if you look at Friday the 13th, only one of them had kids at the camp.
Yeah, and they didn't kill the kids in
No,
that one.
yeah.
They
And
kill the
this-
kids in this one.
Yeah.
brutally.
I mean, they're slightly older, like teenagers, so
But
I mean, it's
there's
not like.
still, like
killing
remember
little
there's
kids,
two like peeping Tom
Yeah.
boys.
Not
They're
all of them are
definitely
older.
under 18.
But wouldn't you think they closed down the camp after like 1 or 2 people died? Oh,
Well, they she doesn't tell anyone that they died and says, "Oh, they went home."
Oh,
And then
that's
suddenly
right.
they all find
Yeah.
out that everyone's dead, and I think she has almost 100%. Like, I think she kills
I
everyone
think so.
shown
I don't know
in
if
the
the
camp.
Survivor girl makes it out.
No, in the end scene, she
Yeah.
doesn't.
So
I think she has
everyone
100%
dies.
clear rate.
But basically, there's not much to the plot. She's a counselor now, kills people who do stuff bad, and it's a 80s camp, so of course everyone does something bad. And really, the best thing about this is, well, 2 things. One, the comedy, and then some of the kills are really, really good.
Yeah, like one of my favorites is there's these 2 girls who just are hot. They're stoner girls, and she catches them like having sex or something. She ties them up and takes them away to her like kill station. And when one wakes up, her twin sister has been burned to bone, like she's just a skeleton. She's 2 inches away from her face, and she just like wakes up to that and freaks out. And then Angela begins to lecture her, like she's just teaching her like a lesson while she's pouring gasoline on her, and then does the same thing to the twin sister.
There's my favorite stuff is when 2 guys really wanted to like scare people. So one dresses up kind of like Freddy Krueger, kind of. One dresses up as Jason. And then, like, they're going to go scare people. But then Angela shows up kind of dressed like Leatherface in a way.
Yeah.
And then she even takes off one of their faces and wears it like a mask. And it's just, this movie came out definitely when slasher movies are starting to, like, go downhill. But it definitely, like, predated a lot of those, like, spoof kind of
was
things.
this baby?
This was before Scream.
Yeah, so it was really
It was,
unique,
yeah.
making fun of slasher movies like that back in the 80s.
But there's an interesting thing about her character though, like after she murders those guys, she comes back like covered in their blood and like pretends she was just having a fun time and it's fake blood. So there's kind of like if you don't piss her off, she's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment anything makes her snap, then she'll go off on a murdering spree. So at the end,
Trannies.
she's taken all the bodies and hidden them in this one cabin for whatever reason. I guess so she doesn't get caught. And when someone finally does find them, she like is like having a conversation with them all, and she like ties them up and like a big like party for some reason before she finally snaps and kills everyone in the camp. Just like she thinks she's doing the right thing almost, even though she's an awful person and murders people.
She's clearly a psychopath.
Yeah.
And in the first movie, she was really like shy and didn't really want to get
honestly
involved with anything.
completely different characterization.
Yeah.
Totally different.
It was almost like
really
they took
outgoing now.
2 different movies and kind of they completely wanted to kind of redo the character.
Now, I don't know what your guys' favorite kill was. Mine probably was.
I don't remember enough.
There's like a porta potty near like the house Keith was talking about, and she just like throws the mean girl in the porta potty and just like pushes her down with.
But
a
she
stick.
keeps coming up, and then
I like that
between her shoving her down to drown her and shit, she keeps like saying, like keeps trying to teach her a lesson, like you're a dirty person with dirty. Like she's trying to give like a lesson while murdering her.
She's definitely like taking a lot from Freddy Krueger this time around. With just funny jokes.
And then at the end, it turns out the cop who like comes to investigate was the same cop who like found her back in the day. Before, because she got out of a mental institution. She got caught after the first one. And she got released. So there's the same cop, and so he starts freaking out because he knows exactly what she's done. But she kills him like no problem. I forget how. Do you know how she kills him?
I think that one might be the third one. Wasn't there like wasn't the cop like part of the camp?
I'm pretty sure the cop's the second one. Because his son goes to the camp.
I thought his son dies in the second, and then at the third one that he becomes like a counselor sort of.
Maybe, but his son is definitely in the second one. Because he's talking about how his dad was the cop there. But,
yeah.
And then at the end there is a survivor girl, but she takes care of her because the survivor girl escapes and then finds someone like on the road, and it's Angela in the car, so she kills her.
So overall, like, this one's definitely like much more comedic. I want to say this is probably my favorite.
This is my favorite
just
one.
because it's so enjoyable to watch. And like, and the kills are good. Like the kills, I think maybe are a little bit better than the first movie. And it also takes it in a unique way. Now it's not like a perfect slasher movie, but it's fun, which is exactly what you need them to be. One last thing I remember. Do you guys remember the Happy Camper song?
Yeah, they like make a big deal about she wins counselor of the week, and they start to sing this song that kind of becomes like a motif for the whole movie.
Yeah, and the second one too.
Yeah, like it's just it's like your stereotypical camp song, but they play it really slow sometimes, and it comes off really creepy.
Way too long.
I think it might be the third one where they play it just full on slow motion, and it's like it actually comes off really creepy. And
it's like a flashback to the second movie, but it's a newly filmed scene. It didn't actually use the one from the second movie because why not? But overall, it's definitely a good movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was pretty okay.
Okay, so next up we got Sleepaway Camp Street, Teenage Wasteland, which was it came out in 1989.
Teenage Wasteland.
It came out in 1989, but it was like filmed back to back with the second movie, so I think it was filmed in 1988. And yeah, what Keith said, there's this one guy in the movie that just yells, "Teenage Wasteland!" and it is ridiculous, but at the same time hilarious. So the plot of this one is Angela is it doesn't like even though it's filmed back to back with the second movie, it feels like its entirely own movie. Angela is like going back to the same camp, which has been rebranded called Camp New Horizons, I believe, and it's basically a place for like troubled youths and people from the inner city, and then
so it's all like
rich
most
kids as well.
Stereotypical like
there's a lot of stereotypes.
All the stereotypes.
Bad people from the 80s in it, like.
But then there's also like I don't know, big time like jock and then rich kids, and they're like trying to mix them together. So that's like the thing of the camp, and basically I guess Angela wants to go back to camp because she loves camp for some reason, even though she had like a nightmare of it in the first, like it was a nightmare for her.
I think she like was so scarred by it that it's the only thing she understands.
So she kills someone who was going there, takes up her identity, and wants to experience camp. But when she gets there, like, no one's nice, which is a shocker, because, everyone in the other movies were totally nice to her.
Well, this is a trouble kid camp, so they're all, like,
troubled. Yeah, so they're all... Everyone's bad people. It's an 80s horror movie. So, basically, from there, she just kind of goes around killing people, kind of like all the other movies. In this one, there's definitely some good kills again. I wouldn't say they're as good as the second movie.
Quality definitely
but,
in this movie.
But there's some notable kills.
My favorite one was when she like buries like that one main like counselor lady in like garbage and dirt or whatever, and then just runs her head over with a lawnmower.
There's also a notable one where she takes the girl and raises her up a flagpole by her pants.
Obviously.
And they usually hang them up there for a joke, but no, she just drops it and the girl falls like 15 feet and splats on the ground.
But then there's like another kill where she just gets a stick and just kind of starts hitting someone with it, but it's not really that bloody.
No.
So overall, it was definitely like a lot of fun kills, but not as good.
Though the intro is worth noting is you just see this random girl. She just goes out. She's going to camp because Angela isn't a counselor. This one, she's a camper. She needs to take someone's spot. So the girl's just walking on the road, and Angela Baker, you don't know why, you don't know how, just comes out with a freaking garbage truck and runs her down in an alleyway, and then just takes her spot. And then when the garbage truck leaves, there's just a logo like spray painted on the wall, and then they never explain it. They never talk about it again. It just takes her spot.
That's what kind of movie this is. It also like it maintains like the comedy again.
Also, it's important to note that it takes place at the same camp that had been shut down. So like when she's walking through, there's some callbacks to the previous movie.
It just had a different name, but like obviously because it was filmed back to back with the second movie, it was the exact same camp that they actually used. Do you have anything to say about this one?
It was about the same as the second one for me. It wasn't particularly great. I liked the whole comedy aspect, but I think I preferred the first one more. But it had good kills.
There were some interesting characters.
The characters were really zany and wacky.
Yeah.
This one more than the second one.
Yeah, the second one had some likable characters. This one...
There's no like...
You just want everyone to die.
The survivor girl...
Is this one with a rapey guy?
Yeah,
yes,
there's this old... Besides the female counselor, those are like the owner's counselors, there's her husband, who's this really creepy old guy.
He gets on a woman. Yeah.
Well, he actually just goes and has sex with one of the campers, and he keeps calling her Sweet Pea.
Yeah, but like she's totally game for it too.
Yeah, it's really weird.
What else was I gonna say about this?
That's what I forgot to mention. In both movies, Angela really hates it when people fornicate. Yes. She mentions that word a lot. She's like, there are campers fornicating. She always murders them. She hates that the most for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but it's definitely to be funny by saying fornicate. Also, this movie, I would say there was two like respectable characters, Survivor Girl and then the love interest. But at the very end, like they meet up, one from like the I don't know, inner city, and the other one's like a spoiled rich girl. But they're both nice, and they they hit it off, and they end up surviving this time. So unlike the last one where everyone dies.
This one is actually a lot more like your classic ones where she actually gets defeated, or so you think, because she goes to she kind of does a Saw game, if you would, at the end, where she ties them, she like has them blindfolded, and then she has one of the people who hadn't died yet like somewhere, like who's going to be killed by a trap soon if they don't find them, and she has like a minute to go find them all, and then that like they escape and like everything goes south and she gets stabbed, but then at the very end she's in the ambulance and she wakes up and starts killing everyone in the ambulance.
So this was the movie that influenced
This was
Saw.
Saw.
Anyways, at the very end, like the two people live, and you think like they're gonna get together, but then you find out the main girl say like, "Oh, by the way, I have a boyfriend."
So like you thought she might be redeemable.
No, so even the Survivor Girl wasn't a good person.
There is one good person in the movie, the last movie, one of the kids was killed, and his dad was the cop who arrested Angela in the first movie, so they're all still connected, and he's there trying to like make up for the death of his son by like helping these camp kids out, and he finds out that Angela's there, and he like has a shootout with her, but I think she shoots him, doesn't she?
I think so.
So like they make him out to be this guy who's like gonna redeem his son and save everyone. He just gets shot, and then but he was like the only good character.
Yeah. Overall, there's definitely like a lot of memorable characters. I remember like there's just a black kid with fireworks just going around.
Yeah, he was like obsessed with fireworks.
And so she kills him with his own fireworks.
The guy with the leather jacket was always out there.
It's actually for the guy who had his boombox and the fireworks. She writes him a little rap talking about how bad of a person he is. Throws the tape in his thing, and he plays it because if someone throws you a little cassette tape, obviously you play it. So they play this little rap she has while she like blows him up. It's like really like that was like the epitome of horror comedy right there.
It's definitely like also like the black kid has a gun on him and just pulls it whenever he wants.
Which one has a switchblade? The black kid.
I think also. I just know that they're all terrible people in this movie, but every movie's terrible people. This one it's enjoyable, but it's not as enjoyable as the second one. But it's definitely like near the same level. If you like the second one, you'll like the third one.
Yeah. It was pretty okay.
Okay, so this is when it starts getting a little weird. Or better. Now the next one in the series technically is called Son of Sleepaway Camp.
I wouldn't call it in the series.
Yeah. It's a movie. It came out in like 1989-ish. I can't really confirm when. And it was called Memorial Valley Massacre.
Which is a better name.
Yes, but at one point in time, someone released it like, hey, we need to make money. Sleepaway Camp was a big movie, which it kind of wasn't. So like, hey, let's capitalize on Sleepaway Camp.
I think it was that fine line between big enough to recognize, but not big enough to come after them.
So they call it Son of Sleepaway Camp, and I think one of the DVDs you like released that's most common now, you can get it off Amazon under the title Son of Sleepaway Camp.
But it's not about Angela. No. It's about a caveman. At least I think it's just a wild caveman.
A wild feral boy, but not a man.
This is what's up with it. It's like not a good like plot wise, but you ignore that because you watch these movies.
Yeah.
But it basically like a guy like loses his son, doesn't even think he's dead.
Yeah, and then the son goes feral.
And then like the son goes straight up.
He's dressed like a caveman.
Just caveman.
He's a caveman,
and he's in the woods, and he just kills people because they're like not building.
Yeah,
they're like doing a.
They're on his land.
They have like a camp. They set up a camp in this one like valley. And then, in this valley, and it's like they're trying to like raise enough money to try to revitalize the neighborhood so they can build like malls and shopping centers and all this kind of stuff. The plot's not important. The kills aren't like some of them are interesting, but overall they're not.
Some are hilarious. There's one where a truck gets like pushed over down like a little like hill, and it's supposed to crush people. So like people are here. This is a truck. It falls. And you get a shot right here, you see no people, and the truck comes down.
But then they cut to another shot, and the people are dead underneath the car.
Because we were watching it, we're like, oh wait, so they didn't get hit. And
like, oh, they did get
hit. That was terrible.
The characters are annoying. There's like
a fat kid that I'm positive is gay.
He took my keys.
He took my keys.
But yeah, everyone's an awful person again. Yeah, there's
see a motif here.
There's a biker gang, I think, but everyone sucks. It's not very memorable, and it's only in here because they stole the name.
And what the actually, to me, the only memorable thing is that they use really random sound effects when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, they really like. There's a sex scene, and they start making like, I think they make the spring noise. Like,
yeah, when you see her chest, you see
wow, wow. It's like really uncomfortable.
There's a lot of weird stuff with that movie. It was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it was so bad it was fun to watch.
But I don't know if it's really worth multiple watches. But like, even if you're a Sleepaway Camp fan,
there's one part they shot. It was supposed to be at night, but they shot during the day. So they just tried to put like a filter on it to make it look dark. But like, it didn't work. And I was like, wait, so it's day now.
So it's worth like maybe one watch. If you're a Sleepaway Camp fan, don't just necessarily think you like this. But if you like really crappy slasher movies, it's worse.
But something important to note is that at the end, they play the end credits song, which is a really nice '80s like rock song they made for the first two sequels, just like Sleepaway Camp, and they straight up steal it and shove it at the end of the movie, and it's like blatant like
who cares?
Copyright infringement.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Overall, it's not a great film, but.
Probably not worth a watch either, but if you happen to stumble upon it and you really like Sleepaway Camp, you might find it mildly amusing.
Now, one more thing is, sadly, this is not the worst one that there is in the franchise. We'll get to that in a moment.
It was pretty okay.
Next up, we got a movie called Sleepaway Camp 4: The Survivor, which began filming in 1992, and it had about one day of filming before they just scrapped production. So technically, all you have is just like, I don't know, 30 minutes of footage, most of which are just the same take ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you boil it down, there's about a minute.
It felt even less than, like, it almost felt more like a proof of concept footage than an actual, day of shooting.
I guess they didn't like the concept because it was canceled, like, after, like, one day. Now, you might be thinking, why are we going to spend time talking about this? Well, it's because someone then went back in, like, 2012, a moderator of, like, a Sleepaway Camp website, went back to the movie, filmed a little new footage, and used an extensive amount of clips from the first three movies to make a coherent film. It sucks.
In actuality, it is a summary of the first three films from like a person's point of view who like thinks they're Angela.
Then there's like a half-naked girl around.
Yeah,
that's
like
about the extent
the plot that kind of is like this girl who supposedly survived the previous Angela Baker massacres,
which never showed up apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. And they make her think like, oh, and she has like amnesia, so she goes back to the camps to like try to remember what happened. So it's like, oh, is she Angela? Because it's played by a different girl.
It's pretty good.
That's the best thing. And then I think at the end you find out, no, she's not Angela, and there's like a park ranger that's kind of rapey, and
but that's just because of what they have from the test footage.
Yeah, it's not.
This was definitely like test footage.
But
this wasn't even like a day. They like had a day of shooting.
Yeah. If you really need to know the main points and kills of the first three movies, and you don't have time to watch them, this is a great summary. It cuts out all the fluff and just talks about the main kills.
Yeah. But I would still say see the movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching this first.
Now, the only we might be being hard on it because they only had 30 minutes of footage.
This is definitely not the guy that made it.
They had 90 seconds of action
footage.
But
it's like it didn't need to be made.
He had a passion and he made it, and I give him props.
I was foolish enough to pay $15 for it. Okay, so after a long hiatus between Sleepaway Camp 4 to Survivor, they eventually came out with a new movie called Return to Sleepaway Camp, which was released in 2008, but it was completed, it was completely filmed in 2003, but was postponed for so long because they had to do some edits of CGI effects, which is kind of weird because I didn't think there was a lot of CGI that needed to be done for the movie. But in this movie, the Robert Hertzik or something like that is the one who comes back who directed the first movie, comes back to direct this. So this one ignores all the Sleepaway Camp sequels, and it's just kind of a
timeline split.
It's a sequel to the first movie mainly. Now, this way, the movie feels kind of like the original movie. It goes back to the whodunit, and there's similar bad characters, and they even bring back some characters there's a counselor, I forget his name, from the original movie who then comes back in this one. And then Ricky, the cousin of Angela, also makes an appearance. And then there's like characters that are similar, like the cook that we mentioned in the first movie.
We have a
There's
new cook.
like the exact same. And
He's black now.
This guy's white, but there's a black guy
assistant?
black assistant.
Sorry.
Who is played by Isaac Hayes, the singer, who played Chef on South Park.
That's where most people would know from.
That's why he's the chef in this one. In this one, it plays out similar, but the one thing I'll say about this movie is it's everyone. You know how we said everyone's like bad people in these movies.
Crank
this
it
one
up
just
by 10.
turn it up
Even
to 11.
like the cousin Ricky, what was his name?
Ricky, yeah.
Yeah, Ricky's even a kind of
But
a
like
douchebag.
in the first one, you're following Angela, and you kind of feel bad for her. She's quiet. But this one, that you follow this like fat kid,
Terrible.
and he like people are awful to him, but he's also an awful person. And every time something happens, he gets a little dirty, like crap on his shirt. It pisses me off. I think I'm the only one, but he never cleans it. But in the movie, he's this filthy, disgusting thing, and I kind of want. I was like rooting for him to die.
It's just every single person is just terrible in
Like
this movie.
so bad.
I don't understand like why they did it. Like this is a movie when I saw it the first time I actually enjoyed it a lot, but when I watched it the second time,
It starts to like
I didn't like it as much.
lose its appeal.
You liked it more when you saw it again?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm with Sean
like
on
it.
this one.
I like it better
Lost
than
my-
the second two. I like this whole type of slasher movie. I didn't really like the comedy aspect as much comparatively.
It is similar
I feel like
to the first
I
one.
feel like the second two could have almost been a different thing. And
They
it
could have
and
just changed
I
things.
almost feel like it should have been. But I mean, I personally like this. I like.
I still like it.
That's a good point. Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 probably could have been, like, if they were just another female killer, could have probably worked as its own
It could have just been a
franchise.
girl who all they would needed was a intro for the first one where she snaps. And then
Yeah,
they
or
go
like
something.
she just happens to be a counselor who just
kills people.
Yeah.
Like
Like
It
that
could have been
'cause
separate.
it wasn't necessarily like in the first one set out that she kills bad people. She just
No.
kills people that are terrible to
Yeah.
Yeah.
her. And
But-
It's the second
yeah,
third
and,
one where it's bad people.
So, anyways, back to return to Sleepaway Camp. I wasn't like a huge fan of it, but I will say there's a lot of things
It's
I
still
like.
good.
I like
it.
how it's similar to the first movie.
That's
Like I like how they
what I
bring back like similar motifs,
They
similar,
brought and
same
then they
characters.
basically brought back every
Mhm.
character that
I,
they could bring back.
I liked the counselor from the first movie that they then brought back. in
And
this
the
one. He's a good
kills
guy.
are like it's
Yes.
like the staple Sleepaway Camp is the unique kills, and that's what they keep doing here.
Is this the one where the guy's on a tree?
Yes.
Okay, my favorite kill's the guy's like, they gets tied to a tree.
He's an awful person. He's trying
Yeah.
to go have sex with someone.
Yeah, and like they put a rope around his penis.
I think it's a wire actually.
Yeah, a wire or
Yeah.
something. And then they hook it to a car, well the killer hooks it to a car and just drives the car, so you just see the rope going like this,
and he's just
and then it just
pulls off.
penis goes right off.
So maybe that's a CGI effect. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Probably.
that is one of
It
the
didn't look like
best
it.
kills in the
And then there's a
franchise, I
kid
think.
who smokes, and going back to like the doing bad things, getting in trouble. I think he just like pour gasoline down his throat and blow him up.
I think so. Yeah, they do.
I feel like the killer, you don't know who it is at this point, shoves a tube down his throat, pours gas in, and like blows him up, and then they find him in a chair, or like what's left of him in a chair just
Yeah.
out in the front.
So they definitely like go extreme with this movie. It's in a way some of the kills kind of feel like it could be from like the sequels, but it has the feel of the first movie.
Because of the whodunit. I think it's the
definitely-
whodunit
It's
aspect.
definitely got a post-Scream, but it also post-2000 feel to it,
Yeah.
which is different than all the others because, yeah, you know, like post-Scream up until 2000s had a
Mhm.
feel. And then post-Scream
Yeah.
just in general, but then there's, after the 2000s you get like a lot of this weird stuff. And you
Yeah,
could tell it's
it
kind
is
of
weird.
derivative of that.
Yeah, there are some. I do remember one where they were going back to how stupid everyone is. There's a hole in the ground. At this point, they know there's a killer, and so someone keeps putting their eye in the hole in the ground. You're just waiting for them to just get stabbed. And I think they do.
Yeah,
They
lo and
do.
behold,
they
someone
just
gets
get stabbed
stabbed.
right through the hole in their face. But
They're
yeah,
yeah,
but, there's also this whole subplot where the main kid really likes his frogs for some reason, and then he wants to protect them, but then he finds the killer skinned them all, and like it doesn't make a lot of
No.
sense. But the killer, since the kid's bad, you don't feel bad for him.
yeah, and like even though like I'm not a big fan of the kid, he's annoying.
He
It's-
is horribly bullied.
Yeah, and he
I-
is entertaining.
I almost feel like me and you were watching this a long time ago, and we even said like this is probably the worst bullying I've seen in
Yes.
a movie.
It's just
almost.
It is.
it's just
like-
so hard to feel bad for him because he's a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
But he is horrible.
It's like
They strip him down to his underwear at one point and blindfold him and throw him on a stage.
Every horror movie and like every like teenage movie you see where there's horrible bullying. This is the
worse.
worst bullying I've ever seen.
This takes the cake. So overall, I wasn't a huge
Doesn't he
fan
get
of this.
threatened by the chef when he wants something to eat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
So
a
instead of the
knife?
rape thing, we got
Yeah.
threatened. Yeah, overall, it's a decent movie.
It's still fun.
I definitely like it.
It's not my favorite Sleepaway Camp, but I still really enjoy it.
Like it is like it totally holds up as another one in the Sleepaway Camp franchise.
Oh, also the twist ending. We haven't talked about that.
Didn't
yet.
really see that coming.
Yeah, this one's basically, you know how the first movie had the twist ending was it was really a guy. Was this movie? It was. What do you guys want to say?
So at the beginning of the movie, there's the owner is trying to bring someone in. The kids are all assholes, you know, and he's bringing someone in to talk to them about the dangers of smoking. So he brings in a cop who like can't speak and has the little thing,
like larynx.
the larynx, the little speaker thing,
like
and they like show the
glass.
cop, and the cop's kind of investigating all the murders. And at the end, it turns out the cop is Angela Baker.
With a fake mustache.
Yeah,
and
like, and she-
nose and
But then she takes
prosthetics.
off all the prosthetics, and she's much scarier. Like, I don't know what they used to like make the actors look like that, but she's terrifying.
Yeah.
She, it's the same Felissa from the
Felissa
first
Rose.
movie. Yeah, she came
With
back.
another returning character.
Yeah.
She's she's not really a scream queen because she's not she's not a survivor girl, but she's like one of the more iconic women.
Yeah.
And
in
I
horror
think
movies.
one of the reasons for that is that she like goes to a bunch of different like horror movie conventions.
She apparently
So
didn't know
she-
she was like famous. She went to a convention one day. And she's like, "Wow, everybody likes this." Oh wait, it's because I'm the chick with the penis.
But at the end, she doesn't kill everyone in the camp. I think she gets run out, doesn't she?
I think it just ends with the reveal. And it just
Yeah.
stops.
Like there's a couple people left,
Yeah, I think
but
the
she
terror
had a
kid-
pretty good clear rate. I
Yeah.
think the main kid survives. I don't remember him
Yeah,
dying.
I think they just like kind of stop it there.
But then like
but-
they do flashback at the end showing how she like became the cop. And another weird kill, she's like there with like a broken tire, or like a tire's and the cop comes, like the actual cop that was supposed to come to the camp, comes to help her with her, and she just crushes him with a car.
Wasn't she like really scandalously dressed?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like really
And
sexy.
I don't know if they ever really mentioned like if she got a sex.
I think
change
she
this
did.
time. I don't know if it was mentioned.
I don't think it was even.
It wasn't mentioned, but I like the way she looks. I think she did.
Yeah, so it's.
There's some guys out there that look pretty.
We'll have to see if they ever make
Ever make
a sequel to
Like
the sequel to
Felissa,
the
you
first
need to
one.
take your everything off so we can see.
I hope she doesn't see this.
I really hope she does.
But we'll talk
She's a very
about
good-looking
good
lady.
movie.
the other possible sequels in a moment.
She was a good actress.
Nice
This
job.
was very okay.
So that's all like the main movies that have been released, but there are like some other things that have been happening with the franchise. Now, after Return to Sleepaway Camp was released, the original director who made the first one and Return wanted to make a movie called Sleepaway Camp Reunion 3D.
3D.
And that
3.
like that they were trying to make that, but I think that one officially got like shut down. They would have brought back like Felissa Rose as Angela, the same person who played Ricky, and
Ricky.
they just didn't like end up going through with it. I don't know why
It's a
that
shame.
happened. Maybe Return didn't perform well, or it just something made it so it didn't happen. Well, then the guy who made Sleepaway Camp 2 and Street also wanted to make a.
So
a
at this
sequel.
point, the branching timeline would start growing in opposite
Kind
directions.
of think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, who has like 3 timelines, and they add to like each one every now and then.
So
Yeah.
was this one?
Not
it
as
was,
bad as the X-Men.
I think
Like
it's
there's still coherency.
I think it's called Sleepaway Camp Berserk was his idea, and all I know about this is that his idea would have introduced supernatural element to the franchise.
Which
I don't
not-
think it needed.
I think
I don't
it's,
know what that
it's
would
good
be.
as is.
A girl with a penis is as mysterious as I want to get.
Though I would like to know what she did after waking up in that ambulance, because she got severely stabbed.
So,
So like,
Could have hit her like
I'm.
prostate or
I mean, it's
something.
possible she didn't. Obviously, she didn't die, but I'd like to know what she did after that.
Yeah.
And it'd be really cool to bring back
Oh.
Pamela Springsteen, but this was like 30 years ago now, almost 89. Yeah. So
If they did it now, would they get an actual like tranny?
they could find them. They
so
would just go to New
that
York
brings
and
me
pick
another
one
thing.
up.
They're working on a remake, reboot kind of thing going on.
Probably.
That also is just very like
We don't need
not
another
much is known
reboot
about
right
it.
now.
Not much is known. And
It's-
if I had to put money on it, it wouldn't happen.
It's gonna suffer from like the same thing as like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I would say has some of the best remakes, but like you kind of see how it's kind of even like the remakes that came out like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I liked them. I thought they were really good. They're not doing well.
But also the thing about remakes is it's old enough for a remake like the other ones, but it's only had realistically 4 movies. Mm-hmm. So like when they remake the other ones, they usually have like 7 or 8. This one hasn't had that many movies, so a remake would just feel like too soon to me.
Yeah, to me it's just, it's not necessary. Like obviously, if someone remakes Sleepaway Camp, put it in theaters, I would watch it. But I don't think it's needed. Now I don't hate remakes.
Theaters.
It probably would buy it. Theaters. But like I wouldn't like boycott it or anything. I wouldn't think like it's blasphemy. But I wouldn't really be a fan.
I'd rather have a sequel.
I would like
I don't want to see tranny penis. Don't do tranny penis.
Now, unless it's a girl who has 4 penises.
Now I don't know how they would tackle it nowadays. Wait, what did you just say?
I'd watch that.
I don't know how they would do it nowadays. With that whole like transsexual killer. I don't know how.
I really don't think it would be an issue because
I don't think it would be.
I don't know because I won't get too political, but there's certain groups of people that get really upset about little things.
But the thing about horror movies,
they'll get really upset and put like vagina hats on their head because that's what they do when they're sad.
But horror movies don't have to make that much money, so they can offend a good portion of the population and still profit.
Yeah,
a good movie offends people. Look at half of the most
Clockwork
of the movies from the 80s.
Mm.
Like most of those horror movies offended a small portion of the population, and that's what made a lot. There's a lot of movies that are iconic.
Human Centipede
literally would not be iconic if they weren't like banned in like
they gotta be controversial movies. So now I don't know like if it will ever get a remake or a reboot. I don't think it will.
I hope it does.
If you see it almost have to get like a Marvel like thing where it's like you got all these Marvel movies coming out, superheroes and other people, X-Men and DC.
So they just throw it in.
They're just like, we're doing well. What can we go through that we own the rights to?
Yeah.
And do?
If we get a horror movie boom again, we'll get I think a reboot is far more likely than a sequel, which is a shame.
So going off of that, like what else there is? I talked earlier about the Sleepaway Camp box set, which is how I got like the 3 DVDs. Now we talked about how bad the 4th movie was, but
I wouldn't even call it a movie.
If you get the box set, which I definitely recommend, it has a lot of good extras. It comes with a bonus disc that is just all the raw footage from the 4th movie.
Wouldn't really recommend watching.
It's worth one watch, but
I would prefer to watch that over.
I would say fast forward through it.
It's shorter. You get like you watch it more or less like, hey, this is a movie that's just absolutely terrible, but like, hey, this is like
what they got.
Test footage, or this is like, hey, proof of concept footage that they had that obviously wasn't great.
No.
But they only had a day.
Well, I mean, with test footage, how much do you actually need? This is
I don't know what they were doing.
This is probably like a pitch.
There's not much there.
But if you just want it, I would recommend that bonus disc over actually the $15 DVD.
Yeah, unless you really don't want to buy the first 3 movies and you want to get a gist of it, but don't do that.
Yeah. So other things that I found like 2 very, very short films online that technically take place in the Sleepaway Camp universe, but they were both made by a guy who, I think he's the guy who put together Sleepaway Camp 4, so he's the moderator.
He is the actual biggest fan of Sleepaway Camp.
Oh wait, no wait, this is actually just 2 Sleepaway Camp websites, Sleepaway Camp Films, which made this, and the Sleepaway Camp Movies, which I think is a different guy. Now, the Sleepaway Camp Movies guy, he made 2 short films based on the movies. One of them was like 2 minutes long, that it takes the character from the 3rd movie, the love interest that ends up surviving, who is pretty much the only good guy out of it.
Yeah.
It's just people interviewing him, like asking, "What would you do if you find Angela Baker who's still out there alive?" And
cornhole.
He says, "Kill him, kill her." So
her.
So it's if you just want to, if you love Sleepaway Camp, go ahead and find it. It's called like Tony Lives. And then there's another 15-minute one that I thought was kind of stupid, but it was called Judy. So it takes the mean girl from the 1st movie.
The one who gets the...
right up there.
Did she like it?
Apparently she survived, and it traumatized her so much she became a killer.
Yeah. Okay.
Because what we needed was a Sleepaway Camp cinematic universe.
Yes. So, that was just some little things that I happened to find. If you love Sleepaway Camp, you can go ahead and find it, but they're not really worth a watch, I would say.
The girl in this, like, more boob is showing than, like, bikini.
Also, important thing to note,
Like,
the covers of 2 and 3, that's not Pamela Springsteen.
At all.
Well, because
That's not
she's
her.
very petite, so that's definitely not her. I don't know, they just found, so I guess they realized they needed a DVD cover and they forgot to get photos.
Actually, I think this might have been what the posters looked like when they were originally released.
Yeah, so they just forgot to get
And
photos for some reason.
I just do love how she had all the masks from when they were like.
They're trying to
dressing up.
like profit off the.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look,
Mark
Freddy's
Miller.
hand, Jason's mask.
And then a chainsaw, maybe?
They're
No,
they're
not
kind of
Jason.
they're not a
I
huge
mean,
part of the movie, but they're on the cover.
So, overall, like, for the franchise, I love Sleepaway Camp. I think I kind of like it a little more knowing that most people don't know about it.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it. More
It has a
interesting.
special appeal, and they're
We're hipsters.
they're fun movies.
I would definitely say it's like middle of the road, where like people know it.
Yeah.
When you compare it to like,
It's
there's
not-
well-known slashers. There's this, and then
Yeah, I
there's
think
like
it's
thriller killer.
Yeah.
I think
stuff
it's
like
ranked
that.
two, like rank 1 being like the big Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is like solidly in the category 2. Like if you've delved into horror, you've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, normally you've heard of the first movie, especially with a twist ending. It's the sequels that
Yeah.
most people have.
Yeah.
If
not seen.
anyone has heard of Son of Sleepaway Camp, true horror fan.
Mhm.
But I enjoy the franchise a lot. It's entertaining.
It's a very good
What do you
franchise.
think, Keith?
I think it's, like I said before, it's my favorite horror franchise for whatever reason. So I think it's not the best horror franchise.
really
It's
li-
my favorite.
he really likes
There's a
the concept.
distinction.
He likes the concept.
I know
of
it's not the
the
best
penis.
one, but you know, I just
What would you say about this?
I would say it's a very good. It's up
Mhm.
there. It's one of the best in my book.
I would put it probably like in my top 5, top 10, somewhere
It's
in there.
up there,
It's definitely entertaining, which is what they need to
I
be.
mean, like you get like the kind of like big ones of Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. Would put Pinhead in that.
Yeah.
I would say she's right up there.
yeah,
with it.
she's. And the beauty of this whole thing is since it's only 4 movies, you don't have like 13 movies of catch up to do, like the Friday 13th or whatever. Well, 12. That's
So
about
lucky
there.
for you guys, this one's a really short review.
Ish.
It's okay.
Cheers.